The clock is running for a contractor to put together plans, timelines, and costs to complete one part of the expansion of Southwest Florida International Airport. That work is more than a year behind schedule and likely to soar far over budget. One Lee County commissioner acknowledges it's one of the biggest construction nightmares in Southwest Florida history. WGCU's Mike Walcher reports.
This is why managers want to expand the existing terminal at the airport we know as RSW. It's crowded, and the population's booming. And this is what $331 million in contracts has bought. Unfinished work, including steel rods exposed to the elements instead of reinforcing concrete. It's been this way for a year. Manhattan Construction and a design company called Atkins North America were supposed to have finished the work 3 months ago.
I'd say this whole thing is a terrible mess.
Lee County Commissioner David Mullica also sits on the Port Authority board that governs RSW. He has spent many hours poring over this project's change work orders, non-compliance items, and accusatory letters.
I'm frustrated, astounded.
Mullica knows building. For more than 20 years, he's owned and operated construction companies, the third generation in his family to do so.
And the more I dig, the worse it gets.
Manhattan Construction received the contract for Phase 1 expansion in 2021. The pay, $309 million for its part of the work. Manhattan would build what Atkins designed. They would connect the existing concourses and make more space for security and waiting areas. The companies battled almost from the start.
Both the contractor and the engineer said they've never seen a project go this bad, this fast, for this long. You know, Manhattan says it's all Atkins' fault, and Atkins says it's all Manhattan's fault. And I think they're both right, because I think they're both to blame.
Work stopped when Manhattan said Atkins' plans would cause the new building's roof to blow off in a Category 5 hurricane, with winds of 157 miles an hour and greater. Now Manhattan has asked the airport for another $100 million or more to finish the work.
Some research say like 85% of large-scale projects experience project overruns and delays.
Professor Long Nguyen is chairman of the Whitaker College of Engineering at FGCU. He says most construction problems are solved quickly, but not this one.
When the small problem occurs, people try to not to go to the bottom of it. But when by the time we know, it's already a big, significant delays or cost overruns. It's too late to bring the project back on track.
Phase 1 expansion is supposed to give people a more comfortable, a faster, and better experience. Airport workers also would get some more space. And some people are not at all happy with delays and likely extra costs.
I'd be upset if I traveled through here all the time. It's not a good feeling. I mean, if we can't rely on them to resolve something like this.
Right now, airport managers, Manhattan and Atkins, are saying nothing about the situation. Manhattan has until about mid-March to come up with a timeline and new price tag. Then the airport board will decide, go with Manhattan again or hire another builder. Commissioner Mullica says the board has to get it right this time because RSW is the #1 economic driver for this region.
I want the citizens of Lee County to know that as leaders, we will fix this and we're going to succeed. We will straighten this out.
Whatever happens, the money doesn't come from Lee County property taxes. It comes from fees from the airlines and grants from the state and federal governments. For WGCU News, I'm Mike Walcher.
Now, Phase 2 of the airport expansion is far bigger than Phase 1 with a price tag of $1 billion. Manhattan Construction is not involved in Phase 2. It involves building a second terminal with more gates. The new terminal work is underway. According to Mullica, it's going well and should not be delayed by the issues with Phase 1. Mastering an instrument can have a lifelong impact on children. The New England Board of Higher Education says that learning music strengthens brain pathways, builds discipline, and teamwork. In Harlem Heights, children as young as 6 are part of a program looking to provide a positive creative outlet. WGCU's Mike Walcher reports.
It's the first rehearsal this school year for the Mosaic Philharmonic with string musicians from around Southwest Florida. Students pour their energy, creativity, even anxiety into the music.
I know I have ADHD, But when I'm playing or singing, I focus solely on what I'm playing or singing, so it helps me in that aspect as well.
Students follow conductor Roland Forty.
1, 2, off. 1, 2. 1. Beautiful, beautiful.
He's a professional musician and teacher at Rogers High School in Collier County. The students rehearse on the stage at the Heights Center. Harlem Heights traditionally is a minority and lower income area. We wondered why Mosaic? Turns out it's an acronym.
That stands for Musical Opportunities Supporting the Arts in Our Community.
Meet Melissa Barlow. Everyone just calls her the Music Lady. She founded the program and is Director of Arts and Community Programs at the Heights Center. Barlow says she came here after traveling the world as a professional musician. She felt she could make a difference in young lives through music.
It's the universal glue for everybody. It's a way to celebrate culture. It's a way for, us to communicate with each other. If you're having a bad day, you can express that on your instrument. You don't necessarily, if you're not ready to talk about it with your words, you have a way to express yourself and decompress. G, 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 G. Very nice.
The Mosaic program starts with free lessons for students at the Heights Charter School.
The music to me is, I love playing different songs, and we get to do concerts, and I get to see my friends.
Your turn. Ready? Play. D, A, D, and then we rest. So we always hope that that'll be the case, that we're going to discover the next Itzhak Perlman, but completely okay if we're also finding the next pediatrician that's going to go out and then in their community keep playing the violin for enjoyment.
Keep going. Yeah, good.
Meanwhile, older students in the Philharmonic rehearsed for 3 public performances this year at the Heights Center. The musicians also may play at other events around the area. Some say it's a respite from the demands of their courses.
It's a burden to me, the schoolwork, and music just helps me be free.
Melissa Barlow recalls one boy who was doing poorly in school, but after a year or so playing cello,
he found himself. He found where he could be successful, and it wasn't instant. He knew that he had to keep working at it, and then in those other areas where he was struggling a bit, he was going to also be successful. It just needed to take a little bit more time.
A fellow named Louis Armstrong once wrote to a fan, "Music is life itself," and they're proving it in the Heights. For WGCU News, I'm Mike Walcher.
Hello, I'm Sandra Victorova. Thank you for joining us. As Floridians begin their preparations for hurricane season, some meteorologists are concerned that cuts to federal agencies mean scientists have fewer tools to track bad weather. We'll talk to a leading meteorologist from the University of Florida about what the cutbacks could mean. But first, we look at how one Barrier Island community is still recovering from last year's storms while preparing for the potential impact of another hurricane season. WGCU's Mike Walcher reports.
Several hurricanes in less than 3 years reveal the spirit of Pine Islanders. There's the tough guy.
I'm not really afraid of anything,
The woman who worries water is winning the coastal conflict with humans.
People are tired. I'm tired.
The man whose house flooded 2 times in 2 weeks.
I was just frustrated with seeing furniture and stuff being destroyed.
And Pine Islanders learned to follow an old saying, in disaster, look for the helpers.
The GPI has gotten really good at responding to natural disasters.
That's the Greater Pine Island Alliance, formed after Ian. Since then, it's dried out and rebuilt homes for 200 families. And the group still is helping another 102 families make their flooded homes livable.
For every single one of our survivors, it goes beyond just being happy and proud. It is absolute elation to have someone return to a safe, secure, and sanitary environment.
People are raising homes, refusing to surrender the island to the wrath of nature. They're building bigger and higher on the waterfront. Others have moved away, leaving many properties for sale. 65-year-old Henry Brinkman bought and moved into this mobile home in St. James City. That's at the south end of the island. That was spring 2022. He says earthquakes and fires drove him out of California. He admits he knew nothing about hurricanes on September 28th of 2022.
I said, what do you worry about? Then I get a call from California from my friend. He said, you need to get out. And then I said, what are you talking about? He said, there's something major coming to you.
That something was Ian. It flooded his home. He plowed his truck through high water and barely managed to get off island and to a shelter. Later, he dried out and repaired his home.
I'm a very strong person. I can tell you that to knock me out, it needs really something serious.
Then last year, Debbie, Helene, and Milton brought more floodwaters. Each time, Brinkman repaired his place. He says he stopped on the Matlacha Bridge during one evacuation last fall. A friend called and urged him to drive off the bridge and come to a concrete block home. Brinkman drove away, and a tornado touched down minutes later right where he'd been on the bridge. You might think damage and danger would convince him to move off island. Not so.
If something happened to you, it's going to happen no matter what. So that's how I see the world going around.
At the north end of the island in Bokeelia, Robert and Ellen Ballard are grateful that volunteers, along with FEMA and an insurance company, fixed up their home. Helene and then Milton flooded the place last fall.
It was a shock. It was a shock to say this house was built in 1968, and in all these years it's never flooded. I don't break down. It don't bring me to tears. It's part of living on the island.
Robert Ballard's family goes back several generations on Pine Island, but he and Ellen agree they will move away if another storm floods the house.
I will never do this again. It's too expensive. It's too stressful.
It'll be it. Yeah, we won't hear. Somebody will get this house.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yes. Meantime, the Alliance gets donated goods to prepare for this hurricane season. These people say restoring the houses and spirits of their neighbors keeps them here.
This is home. This is where my son was born. My father lives down the street from me. My grandmother lived here. This is an island community of generational families, and this is home.
Pine Islanders say their paradise may not have the panache of Sanibel or the sand of Fort Myers Beach, but it's one of the last places of old Florida, and Islanders cherish that in spite of hurricanes. For WGCU News, I'm Mike Walcher.
Some storm experts are expressing concern, and not just about the predictions for a busy hurricane season. The scientists are preoccupied about the large cuts to the federal agencies that forecast and respond to hurricanes. According to the Associated Press, the Trump administration has made large-scale staff reductions, travel and training restrictions, and grant cutoffs to both FEMA, which prepares for and responds to hurricanes, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, which tracks and forecasts storms. Representatives of both NOAA and FEMA say the agencies are prepared. After public backlash, the National Weather Service recently announced it is starting the process of hiring more than 100 employees to, quote, stabilize operations at its field offices around the country.